the war in Iran. Is it a war? I don't even know at this point. This is going to be a special debate night. It's going to be more of like a fireside chat. So audience participation is welcomed, let's say. But yeah, I think I gave out the basics. This will be streamed and recorded. If you wish to not be, then either DM me or Sophie, and we can like censor some shit or just don't talk. But yeah, I think I laid out the basic premise. I don't know, like what are the facts? Is it a war? I don't even know what it is right now. I'll actually look it up. But
Tribot said, "I can't believe it's not a war."
Kabotberg.
It's Schrodinger's war.
True.
I suppose maybe we should deal with that first, whether or not it is a war. So I suppose ostensibly it can't be a war as it stands, because a war would require congressional approval within is it 30 days?
Oh, sweet summer child. Do you think we need to follow laws in this country? We don't need to follow laws.
I'm saying just on its face, ostensibly, or just in terms of like how we're going to define it, like maybe legalistically or something like that. The Trump administration is obviously calling this some form of military action or just an operation broadly. So they're refusing to define it as a war. It seems like they're not going to commit ground troops. They I think within the last 24 hours they've backed the Kurds are currently invading into Iran. So it seems Kurds? Like the Trump Kurdish fighters have gone boots into
That's
Iran.
Crazy.
They've crossed the border. Yeah. So we'll say on its face, the Trump admin is essentially making a number of strikes against the Iranian administration and its military infrastructure, and they're happy to leave this as an operation, special military operation. We've heard this sort of language in the last couple of years. In terms of what authority Congress is going to have to actually have influence here, I'm very uncertain, because unless the Trump admin starts to actually call it a war, or if they commit troops, put boots there on the ground, well, the president has a very, very wide range of powers that he can sort of leverage in situations like this without needing any sort of congressional oversight. So I don't know, like on that side, I don't know if calling it a war is even the right place to start in this conversation, because I don't even feel like we're there yet. It's a tough one.
Special military operation.
Well,
how about you, Meadow? Go for it.
I feel like, so when we talk about, I think there's two separate conversations that happen when we talk about what is a war and what is not a war, right? There's the one sense where it's like the more colloquial sense, the more cultural sense, right? And then there's like the more like legalistic sense. I think that in the more colloquial sense, like our common understanding of what war is, I think this is obviously him engaging in war or starting a war in Iran. Like in the same way that, like, technically on paper, Vietnam still isn't a war, right? That was a special police action.
No,
as a precursor.
No. That's
is that not true? Is that not true?
The Vietnam War had a draft. What do you mean? That was.
Well, did we not? Wait, hold on. Did we? I don't think we ever declared war on North Vietnam, did we?
No. The Vietnam War was a full-on war with congressional approval, I believe. I mean, there was a draft for the Vietnam War, right? Can we do a quick fact check?
I'll check that. But I'll say, like, for this topic right now, we're going to just say it is a war and not get into like.
Okay. I think maybe the example you might, because I heard you say police action there. Maybe the example you were searching for was the Korean War, where that language.
Possibly,
was used.
yeah.
I think
possibly, yeah.
Harry Truman used that language to the press at one point. However, even the Korean War was ultimately defined as a war, right?
Are people look at the stream real quick? Apparently, it was legally treated as a police action or conflict because Congress never issued a formal declaration of war.
Maybe. I could be totally off. Maybe it was the same for the Korean War. I mean, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So my point there is that
they had a draft for both those wars, by the way.
That's crazy.
For not a war. Yeah, right. crazy. Anyway, but like my point here is that we obviously would say that Vietnam was a war, that Korea was a war, right? Like, and I think in the same way that we can obviously say that Putin's invasion of Ukraine is a war, right? Even though, like, legally, technically speaking, there was no like formal declaration of war made in any of these instances. But I think that not treating this as a war is potentially like very, very dangerous, like rhetorically. Just to start there, my position is that this is war with Iran.
Do you think that the Russian invasion of Ukraine would have been treated the same way had Ukraine fallen within a week? Do you think we'd still have called it a war?
Definitely, it would have been treated differently.
Do you think?
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
Maybe.
In my personal
I think we would
opinion,
still
like
call it a
the
war.
Venezuela shit. The Venezuela shit, I would like classify under like a special military operation or some shit, because it was just like in and out. It was like one fucking day. If it was like a week in Ukraine and stuff, then I feel like it would be treated differently.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, hell, Israel had its own war that didn't last a week, right? Like we literally call it the 6-day war, right? So
I think in terms of how we're going to define it, I suppose I'm actually shocked there by the Korean and the Vietnam ones. I took those as just a matter of fact because of the drafts that were followed both of those. But it's I suppose what I would say is that I suppose there's a time frame, and then there's also a commitment that we're probably going to associate with like an actual war, right? And I think probably the defining one is going to be like a prolonged conflict, probably lasting maybe, we'll say loosely, more than like maybe a month, we'll say. Yeah. More than a month, and you're going to have boots on the ground, right?
Yeah. I don't think the specifics matter like too much for me right now. I think the interesting question for me is like, okay, Trump kind of just like did some shit that he's technically not allowed to do, and like getting us involved in a war and stuff. But now we're kind of like involved where like Iran's super fucking pissed and shooting missiles and drones at everyone. Would it be better for like Congress to like hamstring the administration or try to help out?
Now we have obviously we have to deal with another question. Sorry, I'm so sorry to cut you, but you're raising another question there because the president does have the authority to do everything that he's done in Iran right now, right? Like, I mean, the U.S. president, in terms of the range of powers that are afforded to the office, like it's pretty nuts. The president can, without like any form of like congressional oversight or approval or like prior authorization, initiate strikes on other countries so long as they're within like the national interest broadly.
Okay.
Now,
First of all, wait, hold on. I want to push back there. I want to push back there for one. The first thing is that you're implying that the president has broad power to just bomb whoever with no outward provocation. And I don't know if that's entirely true. Second of all, even in those cases, he still has to make notifications to Congress that these whatever strikes or operations are going to happen, which he also didn't do, right? So like we could talk about like what these strikes mean. Should we like should Congress like support the efforts now or not or whatever? But the first thing that we need to establish and we need to understand is that even in so far as the president has broad powers to do these things, even the restrictions that are placed on those broad powers, he didn't even abide by those.
Okay, hold on. Just to raise two things, and I had to double check it. So one, the president does have to notify Congress, but it's within 48 hours of committing to military action, right?
Yeah.
So essentially, he has like 2 days after he's ordered a strike to go and talk to Congress. So like, I mean,
does seeing it on the news count? Because I don't think he's issued like a formal notice of scope to Congress at all. Like any of the details, how long it's going to last, what the scope is, like what the I'm fumbling on my words here.
I mean,
but like,
no, it's okay.
Has he even made this like formal declaration to Congress yet?
I'm going to guess that I'd be shocked if the Trump administration, even in all their like pig ignorance, didn't at least drop a memo to Congress to say, hey, by the way,
it seems kind of weird.
Hey, by the way, we just hit Iran like 20 times. You know what I mean? I'd be shocked if they didn't at least, follow the rule of law in that sense. But like, you know what I mean? Ultimately, at the end of the day, what it does come down to is that the president, so long as they're operating within, in bunny ears, the national interest, that they can go out and they can form a pretty like severe range of actions upon foreign nations. Like
that's where I would jump in at and stuff and be like, if I want to be a pedantic bitch about like how Trump can be like, well, it's an international emergency and so we can put tariffs on everything because I just declared it, whatever the fuck. Him using the language of, people die in war and stuff, them even like using the terminology and saying war just seems fucking crazy to me. But yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree there. I agree. So I guess just to kind of run down, like just to kind of get some of the formalities of the out of the way to like run down the reductio here. So I think you would agree that China is that the administration views China as a threat to national security, right?
I mean, China is the threat to American national security
Okay,
right now.
so Trump would be just to test the principle here. So you would say that Trump is well within his rights to just start bombing Beijing out of nowhere, right?
Legally, he would
probably.
be. Yeah. Legally, he actually would be, right? I mean, like we can't even make an argument there. He just would be. Now you could make the argument. You could say that is it within the national interest to initiate a nuclear exchange with China, which might come out of like engaging in even traditional strikes with non-nuclear arms against China, that you could actually trigger a nuclear war. Maybe that's not in the national interest, but we'll say broadly, yes. The president could maybe hey, if there was Chinese ships that were posted off the coast of a U.S. base and they were maybe there was a military threat or something like that.
Well,
maybe
see now you're altering the hypothetical. Now you're altering the hypothetical.
I'm just saying broadly that if we're going from, we'll say that a strike on the Chinese mainland, like we're talking about something here that we could say would that's mutually assured destruction territory. But we'll say even for something that might initiate a war between like the two premier superpowers on the world stage right now, which is like I don't know if we're following the track record of the previous two world wars. I don't know. I think that's a pretty insane scenario to even contemplate.
Seconds.
But yeah, the president could actually just outright start World War III if he wanted to. Correct? I mean, we're not in disagreement there.
Well, it sounds like here's the reason I asked that. To not beat around the bush. Seconds. It sounds like you're supporting the Trump's action here in Iran.
We'll get to that next after this. Okay, both of you. Okay. Earl, I'll throw a question to each of you. Kebabberg. Okay, how? What? Am I saying your name right? I always feel bad. Okay.
You can say Kebabberg, Kebabberg.
Kebabberg. Well, this is recorded, so I can go back, I can clip it, and then I'll remember it next time.
Listen, look, with my silly accent, you can do what you like.
True. Take it down. Whichever one of these is more interesting for you, should Congress or should Democrats in general like hamstring this military action in Iran? Whichever one is more interesting to you.
Okay, I'm going to.
Or sorry, hamstring or help. But yeah, go ahead.
Hamstring or help. I'm gonna make a bit of a little bit of a cop out argument. I think my answer to this question is that Congress should wait about a week, and then make a decision on whether they're going to help or hamstring. If Iran. Okay, so Iran. I think today the president of Iran issued apologies to their neighbors for the strikes that followed Khomeini's death. If Iran is going to take that sort of conciliatory stance to their neighbors, and we're not looking at a broader regional conflict after what the US has done, okay, I actually think then hamstring the administration as much as possible, fuck over Trump, take away as many powers as possible, and try to prevent it from escalating any further than it already has. Like, we've already gone beyond escalation at this stage. So if Iran is going to make the move that they're going to be very like level-headed and easygoing even after what's happened, okay, let them do it and then stop and rein in Trump. Now, if the alternative is the case and Iran is going to take a bellicose stance and they're actually going to spread this into a wider regional conflict, I actually, in my opinion, we can't wind up in a Jimmy Carter situation and have essentially tie your hands and then say that, what will be will be. You actually are just going to have to go in and take action. A civil war in Iran, like a large scale civil war, or even a large scale war, let's say Iran, the regime actually manages to retain control, and the IRGC launches invasions into neighboring countries or something like this.
Okay.
This is beyond contemplation at this point. We're reaching stages now where, just in terms of like the wider geopolitical implications, there's something has to be done. And I actually think then at that stage, whatever got us to the point, forget about it. I think you actually have to go in and clean up the mess that Trump's after making. So I actually think that, at that stage, you're just going to have to,
Okay.
you're just going to have to play the cards that you've been dealt. Yeah.
And then, as a heads up, Sophie, if you could have a question for like where you want this conversation to go, I'll ask you that after Moto. But Moto, same thing. Do you think this we should hamstring or help the admin with this war?
I kind of agree with Kabalberg here in that I think it's kind of too early to tell, because to me there are two really big things weighing on my position here. One is, I think it's but just to get this out of the way first, I think it's pretty obvious right now that what's going on in Iran, especially with the death of the Ayatollah, is going to lead to more like upheaval and more volatility in the region, right? And the thing that gets me about it, and the reason I'm of two minds, is one, Iran itself might not be like the big bad that we're thinking it is. The reason that Iran has been so dangerous in the Middle East is because of all of its proxy actors, right? Think of like and the Houthis, and and all of these other groups, right? And this was the big danger point or threat point that a lot of people had when talking about whether we should strike Iran directly, right? It's like, what will these proxy groups do, right? And even if the violence or the strikes are contained within Iran itself, I don't think that necessarily means that we won't see wider destabilization from these other groups that now no longer have the IRGC backing, that no longer have more like direct control from the Iranian government and all of these things. But secondly, there's the whole axis of resistance angle to think about. And I know at this point right now, both China and Russia have not done much to come to Iran's defense. But in Russia's case, it's understandable because they're already up to their fucking necks in Ukraine and don't really have anything to send that way. But China does, and China might be on this position where let's kind of see how it goes. Let's see how far the Kurds get before we act, right? Because it could be the case that the Kurds don't get they don't get to Tehran directly, or the IRGC is able to like actually push them back or whatnot, and China might be like, okay, Iran's kind of handling it themselves, so we're not gonna step in it unless we absolutely have to. But I think that
Okay.
yeah, and then there's also the Iraq War example to think about, right? Like, because when we went into Afghanistan, that was all it was supposed to be, and going into Iraq was kind of like an extension of that, where it was an example of us, like, quote unquote, trying to go up and go in and clean up some of the mess that we made. And as a millennial, I got a lot of PTSD about that. I don't think that's going to work out very well.
All right, moving back to open discussion. Sophie, what part of this conversation has you like the most interested?
Honestly, I find it interesting how quickly we can kind of jump onto Trump's playing field. Like I feel like it's telling that we're still, here talking about, oh, is it a legal debate? Or is it a legal war?
Is it a war?
Did he go to Congress about it? Oh, well, now what does this mean for Iran? But we're so officially we're no longer talking about the Epstein files. Officially we're no longer talking about, how can we use this messaging to really push the Democratic Party forward? Like, we're no longer talking about, okay, well, what are the broader implications of this? I think we're going to have to face the fact that the reason this is happening is so that he can essentially interrupt midterms. I think that this is just laying the groundwork for him to be able to cause some sort of national emergency, and I just feel like we're missing the point. I think that there's deeper things at play. Yes, go ahead.
Sophie just hit on something there that is actually really interesting that I had thought about. When the strikes in Iran begun, the first thing that I thought was that Trump was actually going to push for a declaration of war, and then he was going to use that to essentially the war powers that would then be afforded to the executive office to try and hamstring the elections, the midterms. That was the exact first thought that I had come to mind. And even now, when we're talking about should the Democrats try to take like a more profound role in what's happening right now, I'm actually sketchy on it. Because if Congress decides to, fuck around with it, and then we wind up with a declaration of war or something, the consequences of that, we'll say domestically for the US, I'm also very unsure what the implications could be. Like, would he use it as a means to try and postpone elections? I'm pretty sure that there's probably some powers that he'll be afforded there that might allow him to do something along these lines. So I don't know. It's
yeah, like he hasn't done it.
It's all a bit convenient
yet. We haven't seen that angle yet. But again, it's just the groundwork is being laid right in front of our fucking faces, and so it's just a little disturbing that we're not, up in arms about it a little bit more deeply. I think it's so sad that when it comes to the left, the tankies are, basically lumping in Iranians with Palestinians. It seems I don't think they understand like the broader implications of what's happening. So to still see like companies or organizations like Progressive Victory talk about how we need to get Gavin Newsom exposed and get him, out of office and whatever the fuck. It's like, like what are we as a Democratic Party? Like, what are we as leftists if we're not taking this moment to really galvanize us into taking some broader, deeper political action? So it's just amazing to me, this space we're in. So, I appreciate the debate. I love both you guys' arguments. But yeah, I can't say I'm not frustrated by it all.
Yeah. Let's throw a tomato with that. Of like, that's something I'm worried about. Of like, there's just so many wacky things that if you just like throw them all together, of like the war in Iran, some other shit, the fucking seizing of, was it Georgia's ballot boxes and stuff? Just like there would just be some weird
giving the ultimatum to Minnesota that if they didn't give their voting data, that they would have their federal agents stay there.
Or is it? Yeah, I don't know, whatever. But yeah, throwing that to Moto. I know you're a strong supporter of Hutch and stuff. How do you feel about, like, is this just a distraction and then some weird wacky shit from the administration?
And try wave again if you want to come up.
Yeah, so I think there is an increasingly difficult problem that we as liberals have when we try to analyze what's a distraction and what's not. Because in a sane world, even with everything going on, we would want to consider the Iran strikes as like this wouldn't be like a distraction, right? Like this has serious implications all of its own, and to call it a distraction, it intuitively feels like we're minimizing how big of a deal this is, as compared to something that is a bigger. This is like, well, you're gonna get a limb amputated. Which one do you want amputated? Right? Like these are two insanely terrible things that are both really, really, really fucking bad. And I think calling one a distraction, I don't know. I feel like that's rhetorically dangerous. Is all.
I feel like you're imparting something onto the Trump administration that it doesn't deserve. I think I heard Alistair Campbell recently. He was the communications secretary or something under Tony Blair. But I think the way he put it, where he said that as we're inching ever closer to war, the US is inching ever closer to war and nuclear war and exchanges like this. I think the comment he made was that nuclear war was like the ultimate distraction at the end of the day, where you can use these things as like a political tool to essentially any problem that you have. If you put something as if you put anything as juicy as a nuclear war on the table, it's like all the eyes are immediately diverted. So like anything going on surrounding the Epstein files, or like their efforts right now to undermine the next set of elections, all of that is immediately thrown off to the wayside, and you're focused on something that's it's so obviously pressing that it's natural that your eyes are going to be diverted to it, even if it's a big bluff or whatever, or if they think it's a big bluff. You know what I mean? I think it should be taken more seriously
It's
than
like
that. But
Epstein's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah, it's a hierarchy of needs type of thing. Yeah.
But you're assuming that they are treating it like an amputation, or they're treating it seriously. I don't think they are. I think that's the truth.
No. I agree with you, right? But in a world where you have two parties and one of them is like functionally incapable of dealing with like actual reality, right? Like what they call things is less important than what we call them. I guess is what I'm trying to say. I know it's a weak thing. I just don't know if, and I could be entirely wrong about this. I just don't know if the rhetoric of it being a distraction is helpful to impart the gravitas that these actions actually will have to the normies. That's all.
But you're right. But that's why we're fighting against that language right now, right? I mean, we don't feel it that way, right? I mean, we're probably all in alignment on that. It's like that's the language that or excuse me, that's the method they're using, we'll say.
I'll push back a little bit. It's not I don't think they're like outside of the bounds of reality or some shit. I don't think these things are like random. I think they call like the invasion of whatever fucking country so that he then has power to tear off the whole fucking world. I don't think these are like outside the bounds of reality. I think it's like on purpose.
Yeah, so I want to.
Yeah.
Or can I push back on or I guess I'll just provide some context. So there's a few things that happened to me that make the timeline make a little bit more sense. One of which was, generational, unprecedented protests in Iran that only stopped because the government killed thousands of people.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happened, which was I think a few weeks ago, the aircraft carriers that are currently striking Iran were in the South China Sea. And that was even during the during the Epstein shit. So like, I don't think the timeline quite works out for Trump to be like, all right, shit, what do we need to distract from the Epstein files? Right. I think it was more like, oh shit, Iranians are protesting. This might be this might be the regime change that we've wanted for
apparently it's Israel,
80 fucking years.
I mean,
so
no, hold on.
But he says well, I guess like the fact that you're saying that it's the timeline matches up for him to say this is the time that we can institute a regime change, but that's not even their messaging. They're like, oh, this isn't a regime change. Pete Hex says like, oh,
made us do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we didn't start this war, so it's it's literally
can't get their fucking straight, right?
So we can't say that that's what it was, because that's not what they're saying it is. So I get it.
Bob,
well, the Trump admin spoke out of both sides of their mouth on this, because they did say it was regime change at one point. Then they said it was to stop a future ballistic missile program that might be able to strike the US, and then they said the nuclear program again.
Right, so but didn't he obliterate the nuclear program a few weeks ago? So
Sophie, apparently not enough. Apparently not enough.
It's so ridiculous.
I think the mistake you're making here is that when I'm doing the analysis or trying to do the analysis of like trying to get into the Trump administration's head, like I do listen to the things that they say, but I don't take as much stock in like what comes out of like. No, that's not a mistake, right? Because just like Kababerg said, they're talking out of both sides of their mouth, right? And one of the things that we try to teach our children when we're growing up is if you want to know what somebody's about, look at what they do, know what they say, right? And even if like one statement will admit, yeah, this is a regime change, this is what happens in war, and then the other say, well, this isn't a war, this isn't a, whatever, right? So like what they say is inherently irrelevant, right? So I think the only like functional metric that I can use to try to decide what's in their head is what they do. And the fact that Israel invaded Lebanon like almost immediately after these strikes happened tells me that they've been planning this for a long time. Like, I think they've been planning this for probably months, maybe since Trump's inauguration. I don't.
Okay.
That's the way it feels to me.
They've been planning this since
oh boy.
since
Okay.
they
I would
got
like to
this,
say something.
nuclear deal.
Israel's been planning to invade Lebanon
Go
for the
for it,
past like
Miles.
20 years. So when that's really like a red flag that they're planning something big.
Mhm.
Hezbollah is an Iranian proxy. So anytime that anything happens to Iran, Hezbollah is basically going to act as a retaliatory agent. So that's kind of something I would say is pretty neutral as to the analysis whether or not, how long Israel's planning this.
What's your?
Okay, that's fair.
Is that all, or is there a point you wanted to make off that? Almost.
Well, I was just.
I'll just correcting something, I guess, about Hezbollah. Yeah.
All right.
By the way, if we're raising the point that Israel might have been planning strikes on Iran, I think we can call that one a home run. I don't think that's even in contention, right? They've probably had war plans on Iran for well over a decade. I wouldn't be surprised if these strikes.
Well, that's like saying like if we were to nuke China, that means we've been planning it for decades because we've been wargaming this for decades.
For
I think
sure.
that's very different than talking about like
Okay,
a
YouTube. No. This is for the audience. Okay, North. What was your point?
Okay, so I was wondering if we can make if we can accept the general point that even though something is unconstitutional within the United States and domestically it's probably bad, for the United States on the international stage, it can still be good. Like, we can recognize that.
Okay. Okay, hold on. What was that in reference to?
The Iran strikes and like diminishing Iran's military capabilities, like overall, that is good for the position of like the United States.
What about them was unconstitutional? We dealt with this at the start. What was unconstitutional?
Well, it depends if you believe that the authorization,
No, hold on.
The War Powers Resolution Act, whether that's like constitutional or not.
No, hold on.
We already talked about this. We can move on. What's your point?
We already talked about this. It is
North, what's your point?
constitutional. It is constitutional.
Just go for it.
Okay, well then, if you believe it's unconstitutional, then it's just a matter of whether
belief. It's about this is illegal.
No, don't get hung up. Let him make his point. Go for it. North.
Opinion, belief, whatever you want to call it, or a good for the United States domestically, and then there's like the international.
North, is this a critical part of your argument? Just move on.
No,
North. Okay, let me.
I'm saying we can separate the two out, right?
No.
Like domestically, we can say that like this is a bad thing. Trump is waging all these wars. He's a bit of a retard. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But like on the international stage, this could be considered beneficial to the United States by diminishing the military capabilities of a state that is constantly funding terrorism all across the Middle East.
Okay.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that so I agree with you. Like I do agree with you that the toppling of the Ayatollah probably a good thing, like long term for the stability of the Middle East, but only if it's done in the right way, right? The way that Trump is doing this, right? Regardless of if we can see a good outcome out of it, the way that he's doing it is in such a way that will only lead to further destabilization of the region. In my opinion,
is a good way.
That's why.
I mean, he's 86 fucking years old.
I recognize is that we've already crossed the Rubicon. We've already murdered half their government.
I think the Iran nuclear deal was a good way, to be clear.
True.
I think the Iran nuclear deal was a good way, to be clear.
I mean, I agree. I think the issue is now we had some wannabe strongman, very, very intelligent man, decides he wants to topple the Iranian regime, as probably most American presidents have. And he thought to himself, wow, it's so easy to kill the president. Why haven't they done this yet? Obvious reason is, it's hard to build a democracy. We failed in Iraq, not like a trying. We did try really hard. Even though that ended poorly,
Hold on. Why are you ignoring? Why are you ignoring here like the dangerous precedent that has been set by the Trump administration so far this year? Right?
Hold on.
Like this idea that to me might be the most important part of this is the changing of. The precedent, the United States can go in and abduct a world leader, that we can bomb world leaders out of nowhere with no diplomacy or anything like that.
Okay, to be clear, let's be clear here. This is not unprecedented. This is not unprecedented. Previous presidents have done this.
I'm the host. Kabopberg. Go for it.
Yeah, look, we can cut the unprecedented arguments right here. Whether you like it or not, everything that Trump has done within your constitution, somebody said it.
No, I said the dangerous precedent that this is setting more broadly.
Well, precedent.
But it's not unprecedented.
Whatever. Yeah, it's not unprecedented. Okay. Right.
I didn't say it was unprecedented. Unprecedented would mean that this has never happened before. I'm not saying this has never happened before.
You're saying that you're establishing a new precedent that means it's unprecedented. Is that not?
No.
The precedent is already
Can I make a clarification?
I'd like to finish then, because it seems like I'm being strawmanned here.
Yeah, well, simmer down. Simmer down, everybody. Simmer down now.
Here, okay?
Just 2 seconds.
I will start muting.
Just
Cabal, go.
The precedent has already been set, right? The president under your constitution, if you want to go and fix it in the future, that's up to you. But the president does have constitutional authority to do everything that he's done, right? Ultimately, there's no real legal challenge that you can put forward. So look, that is what it is. I think what I would like to do, and we've touched on it or we've talked around it, what was the actual US plan, or what was Trump's plan? Or we'll say there was war plans against Iran that the US and Israel would have had for a long time prior to this. But why was it this moment that they chose to strike against them? And I think my big worry, considering prior events, is that the US's plan was that they'd come in, they'd kill the leaders of we'll say the previous regime now. They'd kill them, they'd initiate some sort of a civil conflict, and then some form of a civilian government would take over. And it was literally something, absolutely nothing in terms of like a real plan, just that there would be some sort of a change that would be advantageous to the US would come about from doing all of this. And we haven't seen that materialize, right?
I'll give...
But right, we have to deal with that. Like, if it's the case where the Trump admin just came in, did all that shit with the expectation that something would happen, we're in a stage of geopolitics right now that I don't even know how we cope with it or what we do about it. It's very scary.
Okay, I'll give a minute for Moto to respond, and then I'll go to Trib for his question. Go for it, Moto.
Okay, so I want to clarify here, right? The act of the U.S. going in and capturing a foreign leader, that act itself is not unprecedented in history. Us engaging in a strike on some leadership is not unprecedented. That discrete action is not unprecedented, right? What I am saying is unprecedented, or the new precedent that is being set is that if the United States has a problem with somebody, they're just going to go in and they're going to either assassinate or capture their leader in the dead of night with no diplomacy, no warning, no nothing. That state of affairs, that global state of affairs is unprecedented. And that is setting a dangerous precedent, because what you're saying is if it's fine if Trump acts this way because he has the legal authority to do so, what you're saying to what the United States is now saying to every other world leader is that if they engage in this behavior, that these are the new rules of the game. These are the new behavior that if you're a rational actor, how is that in any way disproving my point?
Okay.
It's so, like
no, Kabal, we're going to Tribbot. What's your stance?
I think Moto is saying it's not a legal precedent. Right? It's a historical precedent.
We've got that distinction. Yes.
I think,
but even historically, right? Sorry.
And I agree that there are some historic precedents for it. I don't know, like the fucking South American Chiquita banana bullshit, which was. Some of it was military strong. I mean, it never really got that far. Usually we could just get away with the threat of military force, and then people would eventually realize that they should back down. So this is the first time we've had to actually bring the gunboats out and use them. But gunboat diplomacy isn't unprecedented in and of itself, but I think we used to be better at the diplomacy half of it.
Okay, fine. Let me clarify further then. Since 91, since the fall of the Soviet Union, because a lot of that gunboat diplomacy, all of that stuff going on in South America, all of that wasn't necessarily about those South American countries. It was more so about the spread of communism and about the Soviet Union, right? So when I talk about what is like precedented or unprecedented, like as far as like U.S. foreign policy and stuff like that, I'm trying to keep it contained more to the post-91 world, because the pre-91 world was an entirely different place.
For this to make sense, you'd have to make it post-Iraq war, right? And then we're talking.
I was going to say, The Iraq War is also falls into this.
Can we pretend
no,
like
because those two things we didn't. We didn't assassinate. We didn't assassinate Afghanistan's president and then go and invade Iran on a completely unrelated thing, right? These you would agree. You would agree that Maduro and the Ayatollah and everything in Iran are unrelated,
War,
right?
You realize that we launched
what was the intelligence?
50 fucking cruise missiles at the palace that we thought Saddam was staying at.
It's a dead top.
That is time. I appreciate everyone coming up. That is our topic. But yeah, if you I'll give you a minute 30 on each side. You guys do your final closing statements. Who would like to go first, Moto or Kebabberg?
I'll do whatever.
Go for it, Moto. Minute 30.
I think at the end of the day, I think we're like, if we want to agree that the deposing or the assassination or the removal of Khomeini from Iranian leadership is a good thing. Sure, I actually agree with that. It's probably a good thing in the long term, right? Second of all, the thing that complicates it for me is one, because of how we've treated the Kurds in the past, we don't know how the Kurds are going to respond in the event that they do or don't take Tehran. Second of all, if they do take Tehran, now we have something else. Like there are so many different factors going into this that we don't know that makes it hard to decide whether or not we should try to push through this or whether we should hamstring the administration at every turn. Right? I don't think we have enough information for that. But I just don't like that. I think we're focusing too much on the outcome here and not talking enough about the process, because the president, like it being normalized that a U.S. president is going to do this around the world to whoever he wants with no like completely like by executive fiat is a disastrous one for the global world order, even outside of Middle East.
Right. You have 20 seconds. So that's all?
No, I'm good. That's
okay.
it.
Kebabberg. Minute 30. Go for it.
So my plea to my American friends, and you know, this is a political activism group, so maybe you're the right people to plead to.
Of course.
Whatever is going to come of this, I would prefer if Democrats were trying to take a leading role in driving the conversation, or at least trying to drive what's going to ultimately come of everything that happens. I don't think the Trump administration can be trusted. I think the actions that they've taken in Iran, I don't care if you think that Khomeini was a bad guy and ultimately he deserved to, you know, be killed. I think that the nature in which all of this has happened has created a geopolitical situation that is just so untenable, depending on where it lands. So I don't know. I suppose I hope that there's some level of Democrat involvement where maybe they can come in, maybe try to at least take some sort of influencing role in what comes next, whichever way that may be, whether that means more military intervention in the Middle East, or if it means less and driving the Trump admin back out of this position. But I need an adult in the room. So please, I don't know, somebody do something.
Oh my God, I hate that. He shit his pants. Okay, at least he was doing something. Okay, what were you doing? All right.
I know, right?
Agreed.
All right. It's great having you too. All right.
Well, unfortunately, real quick, I just saw Try post this. Unfortunately, Try, the UEMF, taught us that that's not a good idea either. Okay.
Right. Oh, wow. Got spicy there, Sophie. I was not expecting that. I was like, oh, that's like a fresh topic. We'll see how people are feeling.
I know. You were like, it's going to be a nice fireside chat, you know?
Yeah. Be real chill. And people are like, no, you don't understand, okay? In 51,
unprecedented.
Unprecedented.
No, yeah. But no, I appreciate the passion. And I think that's what we need to see more of, especially coming from a political action group. So yeah, I like the fire. I like the energy, you guys. Yeah, I'm here for it. But yeah, let's also respect the fact that this is, you know, we're all friends here. We're all on the same side. It's not like we're out here trying to, you know, battle MAGA. You know, they're welcome. We're actually streaming everywhere. So if you want to come on and you have a very different opinion, you're welcome. But that's just not realistically what we're dealing with right now. So Yeah, let's just keep in mind we're all friends. We're all on the same team.
All friends, crew.
Yeah, but I love what Motto said, and I think what's so funny is Keppenberg was saying kind of the same thing. At the end of the day, there is that it's not cool for Trump to do this. It is unprecedented geopolitically. Because I was even thinking like, okay, we have so many of these types of leaders. Like, what if we just decided, okay, let's go get let's go to North Korea and let's stop that whole situation. Like there's so many instances where it's, yes, we can say it's needed. Oh, why didn't they do something about these things? Sure, okay, but there's got to be a line, there's got to be a process, and the fact that it fucking exists. There are ways to diplomatically try to address some of these things. They're just not doing it. And so yeah, agreed with everyone. I'm happy to move on. But what are your final thoughts on this whole situation, Retro?
Oh, okay. I think I did look it up, and it was like I think there's like 195 countries in the world or some shit. And I'm like, wait, okay. I think in like, was it 3 months? We've killed or captured 1% of world leaders, and I'm like, that's wild. That's a wild stat to be pulled out.
That's crazy.
Overall, that's like, I'm really in this quagmire of like, yeah, I think Trump going in and basically declaring a war, but like, we're not really calling it, but using the term war is just crazy. But like, oh my God, but now fucking Iran is just striking everyone with the drones and stuff. And it's like, I think we should hamstring them, but at the same time, fucking a bunch of people might get hurt. Maybe we just need to like get in quick and dirty and just get out, okay? But that's never how it happens in the Middle East. We've been here for like the past 50 years, and fucking Biden pulled this out, and now we're going right back in, buddy. Round 2, round 3. I don't
like, have we learned nothing? Have you learned nothing? And all the bitching about the Afghanistan
my entire
thing,
fucking life.
Exactly.
Okay, like holy shit.
Exactly. I'm way older than you in my entire life. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Oh gosh. Okay.
Okay. Rough idea for the next topic is political infighting in our party making it stronger, or is it diluting resources and focus from other, like from races and midterms and all that shit? I'll have to write it up. But if people, that gives people time to like kind of think through it a little bit. What's your take on it, Sophie? How long should we be infighting? Like until the midterms, or until like, what is it? The primaries for the presidency? What are you thinking?
Well, when we were talking about the whole idea of electability last time, with the whole Crockett versus Tallarico thing.
Oh yeah.
I'm kind of go back to this whole thing of, after the car crash, it's, people drive a lot more safely. After a plane crash, people, flights tend to be safer because there's always the checks and balances that come into place. So I kind of feel like, okay, we put a black woman up for president. She didn't get it. So it's almost like, to me, I'm like, well, now's the perfect time to like really, really get behind our black female, candidates. Because, it's almost like anybody's gonna, if you put a Democrat up, they're going to win at this point. So why not, put the ones who you feel are unelectable in, because they're going to get it. So let's give it to people, not just based on, our previous biases or what we think everybody's going to vote for. They're going to vote for the Democrats. Like that's I think that's a given at this point. We're seeing that already with some of the special elections that have occurred. We're seeing that already with just some of the polling that's out there. So, I'm all for giving it to the person with the most merit, of course, who's going to, really push liberalism, push our values more, of course. But I do feel like more often than not, that tends to be the black female, leaders who've been put up. And I just think they've been overlooked a lot. So I think when we finally get over our own internal biases with each other, I think that'll help us all kind of move in the right direction towards unity as a party. But, again, I really don't think it matters. I think no matter what we do, we could literally put a fucking dog up there and we're going to get in, because just they're fucking up so bad, Trump and them. So, true. I mean, not to say everything's in the bag. I mean, I'm sure there could be some surprises, but I mean, especially now after the whole Iran thing, it's like, I mean, we got it in the bag. Let's go.
True. All right, I want to see some hands. Who wants to come discuss the topic? I'll post it in side chat. Is political infighting making the party stronger or diluting resources / focus? Tribute for Speaker Kebabberg. Tribute, what's your take?
You said you had a spicy one. What's up?
Yeah, I mean, so my spicy take, and this is not, I'm not sure if I agree with it, but I had somebody I respect raise it to me recently, so I wanted to see if I can make the case, is that not only should we not be infighting, we shouldn't have, voted on primaries at all. It should just be
handed down?
The elected delegates that, to the conventions that choose the candidates on their own.
That's a strong take. Okay.
Can you repeat that? I don't think I got it.
Right. So with primary elections right now, right, you vote directly for the candidate, and then you vote for delegates that would support that candidate at the convention. Alternatively, you could just vote for individual delegates, and then they choose, we figure it out at the convention. I think that's how it used to work for a long time. We didn't directly vote for candidates. I think technically it still doesn't in some elections, but for local elections, you usually just have primaries. So there's lots of middle ground here, but
that's definitely an interesting take with how
internal
Kamala happened
at all, or do we just want, or would we want, we just say the party's just like, all right, who do we have that can run? Who should we choose? And then that's, you can choose which party you want, but within the party, and you can sort of choose party leadership a little bit.
Okay.
But you don't vote on every single, we just don't have primary campaigns, right? We just skip that step, which is a little bit appealing, but I can see obvious problems with it. So
I'll give it a little bit of pushback. What do you take with, I feel like a lot of the criticism of Kamala was that we didn't do the Democratic, or the Democratic Party didn't do a primary, or is it a primary? Yeah, for the Democratic
right.
thing. And you're saying just get rid of it entirely. It seems like a lot of people like that process.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's value. I don't know. You could do it for some elections and not for others, right?
Well,
do
why
we
not
need a primary for every national representative?
Are you talking about the presidency, or just which election are you talking about?
The presidency should almost certainly have a primary process.
Okay. That's what I thought you were talking about. My bad.
Debatable representative elections are debatable. We'll see.
But I feel like what you're saying would work a little bit better if we got rid of delegates. If we just let the people vote in the primaries and not have to worry about our own sort of mini college of whatever you call it.
Oh shit.
Electoral college, just went straight for it, because I think that would have got Bernie in. That would have been a. I mean, I hate to even say the whole Kamala thing, because, and it's Kamala, y'all, by the way. I hate that that's even a thing, because she was the fucking vice president. I mean, I felt like it was just kind of okay, Biden was on the ticket. All of the monies were related to the ticket. It had shit to do with, who we chose as a party. I think it's just, again, yet another fucking example of the racism and implicit bias of who is electable on the left rearing its head when that comes up as why she lost. And so I fully disagree with that. But I like what you're saying, Try. I just think it would probably work better if we got rid of delegates and not necessarily primaries.
All right, Try. Any last thoughts? And then I'll cycle you out.
Opposite propositions, right? Getting rid of delegates would be only doing a primary versus, instead, you could also get rid of delegates and just have party leadership choose. That would be, that has its own, how does party leadership get chosen? I think you can join your local party and then, I think you can also just join, I don't know if you can join your local Democratic Party and then they would choose your local candidates, and then they would send people to national party who would choose the national candidates, right? So there is a system for that, and you'd have to be involved in your local party. Joining your local party is as easy as going to the fucking meetings. Which I know it's not easy for some people, but anyway.
Yeah. I appreciate it, Try. Well, I'm gonna cycle you out and go to Kebabberg.
And I'll pull up Taylor.
Yeah.
I suppose I'm going to go back to the prompt on the political infighting. I feel like it's okay to have political infighting, I think that's a kind of a necessary and very healthy part. I think the problem is when you reach a point where there's a certain party or party that's so in opposition to where you're driving that they're ultimately just going to split off to do their own thing.
Sure.
So I think now I'm going to speak to a historical matter that I'm going to, half remembered history here. But I believe that maybe a similar situation happened, but maybe in the opposite direction, the political wings during LBJ's term when he was trying to pass civil rights legislation, where you saw the Southern Democrats sort of split away over to the Republican side ultimately. Did that help or hurt the Democratic Party to have this like mega racist, Southern wing inside itself? Are we saying help or hurt here? I'm saying hurt. I'm going to say hurt. I'm going to say it wasn't good for the Democratic Party. Now, in the modern sense, we're maybe seeing it the other direction, where we're seeing a lot of like very far left politics, sort of seeping its way in, and then as maybe moderate candidates are getting put forward, we're seeing an entire rejection from that very far left wing, which is. I think it's a bad thing, to be frank. I think it's not good. I don't know. Maybe somebody else has another opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Like in the short term, it probably like hurt them and stuff. But like, I guess if culture and stuff was like trending towards like non-racist things, it would probably like help in the long run of like, with more like minority votes and stuff like that, to not have a racist wing of part of your party.
No. I'm not saying the ejecting the racists was bad. That was good, right? Getting rid of them was bad, but having the racists inside of the party was a bit of a problem in the first place. No.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Then when we talk about the tankies today, and we're talking about like trying to take this very conciliatory approach towards them, I don't like. How does it ultimately work at the end of the day? Like their views are going to be so different for the vision of the country that like it's literally like how are you meant to resolve it? I don't know how you come together at the end of the day. It's the same for the during LBJ's term. How do you resolve civil rights legislation with like the Southern Democrats' views on like Jim Crow laws and stuff? Like it's just, you know what I mean?
Right now, if they vote blue, okay, I'll take them. All right, but right now, everyone but fucking Hasan. Okay, Hasan is just a cancer. Okay, he has like sucked so many resources of like getting to play fucking Among Us with. No, he's played Among Us. He's got invited with AOC. He got invited to the Democratic. What is it called? The DNC National Convention.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it,
ejected from it.
Yeah, and then at the end of it, he wouldn't even fucking endorse Kamala. So you know what? Fuck him. Okay, if you're not gonna vote for Kamala and this Trump shit's going on, fuck you. Okay. But yeah. What else?
You understand? Sorry, sorry. Wait, I just need to make it very clear. You understood why I made the comparison to the.
Yeah.
I was worried there that you thought I was trying to keep the racists in the party.
No. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Moto, what's your take?
My take is that it's I don't see what we're doing with the far lefties as infighting, because these people aren't Democrats, they're not liberals, they're not part of our political party, and the more we try to flirt with this idea that they can be, all we're doing is absorbing a fucking cancer that will eat us alive from the inside. And anybody who wants to say that these people are part of our party are deluding themselves, because they're not.
Right. I feel like if we were able to, in some way, I don't think we should put energies toward it, but if we are able to at least establish a hard line that, guys, like, we get that you are pro-pallies, we get that you have these grievances and whatever, but the way to actually make a difference or a dent in the things you are worried about are to get us back into a position where your concerns are democratically and politically addressed, as opposed to sitting out a vote or voting third party, which is essentially keeping MAGA and Trump in office. And then you're never going to get your concerns addressed. So it's like, even if you feel like it's hurting your soul to do it, do it, and then we can pick up the fight once we're back in a realistic playing ground.
I have one more hot take.
I do have a take on Hasan's viewpoint, where the thing that we have to address is why Hasan is doing this, and it's specifically from a Marxist-Leninist perspective. He believes, and Marxist-Leninists believe, that you need to destroy current civilization by accelerating it fast as possible. So, if we can't use liberal arguments for Hasan and people that are far left tankies because they don't adhere to it, they're so far doomerist to the point where they would rather have the current system destroyed and rewrite the rules once civilization is destroyed. It's literally baked into Marxist-Leninist theories. But that's the thing you have to address, because you can't find alignment with them in the short term when that's their actual long-term goal. Just being completely honest about it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So I would say real quick. Here's my hotter take, and I actually might agree with Hasan a little bit here on this. I would rather lose without them than win with them at this point.
But I feel like, honestly, isn't that then kind of, it's you're kind of taking that same position in a sense? That's what they think.
Well, you're right. That is what they think, but we think that for fundamentally different reasons. They think that way because rejecting liberalism, rejecting Democrats is aligned with their political vision. Mine at this point is that if we can't win on the strength of our liberal principles or our liberal values or anything like that, then absorbing illiberal people is just a slower death. We're still dying either way.
I do think, right, just to have a caveat here, you
thanks,
can
Moto.
win
I'm gonna cycle you out there. Thanks.
I was gonna do that. You too?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go for it, Poggy.
Sorry.
Yeah, I do think you could win a lot of Hasan's voters or people that are at ML. It's just, the thing is a lot of people that co-opted into the tanky mindset of being a Marxist-Leninist, they just have no hope in the Democratic Party, and you have to ask yourself why. They're just super doomerist based on historical responses. Is that they're going to look at previous evil things that the U.S. has done, and they just are really untrusted. They don't trust the government, essentially. And if you have a plan in place where you can build trust and morale just as a Democratic Party and actually address the atrocities that some of the Democrats do and have a plan forward, you can win Marxist-Leninists. It's just you have to be empathetic and understand why they're why they are the way they are, right? And honestly, I'm not mad at anyone that's a Marxist-Leninist. I understand why, but there has to be a better way, and that's my only argument for them. I'm not going to lose hope on it. You can win. You just have to understand why they're upset.
I mean, I don't know why, but a week or two ago, I fucking audiobook listened to the whole goddamn Communist Manifesto and shit. And I don't think it's that simple. For the Communist Manifesto and shit, it's you want a completely different style of economics, of capitalism, throw it out the fucking window, it'll make everyone's life's worth. You have to do a revolution and overthrow the capital class and out with the bourgeoisie, and the proletariat will rule. And it's
No, the reason why they're upset, and that this is why they're just very disillusioned with capitalism as a whole, right, is that there is a alignment amongst the right wing where they're using democratic regulation to their benefits, and they're exploiting tax laws, and they're exploiting laws in general when it comes to regulations. And the thing is that Democrats, they won't admit yo, we kind of fucked up here, and they have to be smarter than the right wing people that will exploit regulation. And that's the thing, is that we think just as liberal people, right, we're putting regulations in place and it's going to help out other people. But the thing is that we have to discern who's going to put this in bad faith, and we're just on the defensive all the time. That's the thing, that's the brutally honest thing that actually occurs, is that right-wing people will use regulation against liberals. And how do we recognize it? How do we have self-aware over it when it comes to taxes, when it comes to regulation? For example, prison reform is they're literally using a system that's supposed to build to reform people and make them better citizens against the own Democratic Party, where it's like now a jail system, right? And they're like it's like fucked up and corrupt. But like that's the thing, is that like Democrats they just don't admit that like, hey, we fucked up. Like the like, and they don't give like grace to like new people coming up. So when it comes to like leaving up their positions, bringing up people from like actually having a farm system where we can mold and like create a system where we could push, you know, new Democrats, like something like Memdani or something adjacent to it, to the forefront of politics. There's not really a system in play. And like I would say Republicans in general are way better at abusing these laws than us enacting them like currently. It's just not fair.
Yeah. Thanks for your opinion. I'm going to cycle you out and start talking to some new people. All right, almost.
Hello.
What's your take? Sorry, not you, North. Almost has been here longer. Or Taylor. I don't know who. One of you two has been here longer.
Okay.
I think it was almost.
Well, I'm just going to say, I don't think we really have an option. Obviously, as everyone's complaining about a lot of the time, you have a faction of the farther left socialists who are very bent on having a dialogue. And part of electoral politics is that you can never really make these decisions. You kind of just have to figure out how to do your messaging. If you want to ask whether or not you should entertain these people, probably to a certain extent, yeah, I would probably say so. You know, I mean, I don't think you'd ignore a subset of the population for too long. I do think there is an issue though, with like someone like Gavin Newsom deciding to go on Hasan for some reason. I feel like that's kind of a bit much.
You know, if one podcast and Hasan's on our side, I'll fucking take it. Okay, we'll see if he falls in line.
I mean, to be honest, I don't know. I can't see it really being a positive thing.
Mate, we don't know. Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, because I mean, like, even if it let's say it plays along. Okay, do we want to suddenly make this our go-to podcaster for our political candidates? I mean, I feel like he's big enough to the point where he can probably become dangerous. I don't think we want to invite a large media apparatus into our party that is quite toxic. Well, I think a dialogue with the group is fine. I don't think, let's say, for example, the Republican candidate should be talking to Candace Owens and asking what her opinion on the Jews are, you know? I feel like there's probably like a middle ground to have.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Halo, what was your opinion?
Cool. Hey, everybody. I think, not that this is a super strong take, I think anyone going negative right now needs to be excised. Pardon me, us included, frankly. Like, I'm not out here talking shit about Mamdani, even if I disagree with his policies. Our current media environment is just too uncertain, and I don't think, I guess it's more just, I don't want us to do their job for them. I don't want us to be doing our own, negative media.
I mean, yeah, like what's like the war that caused the most casualty was like the Civil War or some shit. Because like when you are attacking your own side, like you're losing way more resources on all ends of it. So,
yeah, broadly. And also it's hard because these conversations are good and abstract, but when it's Trump, when it's the current MAGA party, like again, if this is 15, 20 years ago, I think it's fine to sacrifice some of our political like goals or political will, power, etc. power to do these things. But yeah, it's just a bit hard.
Right.
I don't think we really have the room for it.
Thank you for giving your opinion.
Also, on tries thing.
Go for it.
Sorry.
No, go
last comment on tries thing. I think to a similar point, we might be more politically effective long term. You just sacrifice that particular election because people will be yelling at you for installing the one person or moving to that system. So hey.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Thank you. All right. Then I think it was North.
Okay.
Now's your time.
Have you guys ever heard of Million Dialogue before?
Oh God, there's so many of these things. No, I have not heard it. Go for it.
Okay, there's something called the Million Dialogue. It's like part talking about philosophy and then part like history. Essentially, there was this island colonized by Sparta way back when.
Okay.
And Sparta and Athens were rivals with each other. So Athens, as a show of force, has to conquer the Spartan colony of Milos. And the dialogue is basically about idealism versus realism. It's they say the Athenians come to Milos and they say, "We have you outnumbered. You cannot defeat us. You can either become subjects of us, or we will kill all of your men and then enslave everyone else. And it's basically, Milo says, well, we're an independent colony. We have the right to self-determination, and the gods will help us do our thing, because that is what is right. And then Athens says, no, you have to apply a realism to it. You have to acknowledge that you're weaker than us and remain subjugated. In the end, the millions decide to fight, they lose, and then all the men die and all the women and children are enslaved. The point of the dialogue is basically, do you keep your ideals knowing that you will lose, and part of that losing is you're going to cause great suffering, or are you willing to compromise on your ideals and win, but also knowing that you're by compromising on your ideals, it's also going to lead to like suffering, even if it's to like a lesser degree. That's like the point of the million dialogue. So some of you might know me, some of you might not. I'm an ever Trump Republican. This is something that I've been thinking about with like the Republican Party. Was it okay for them to like adopt populism or to adopt non-conservative principles because it would win elections, or was it better for Republicans to lose elections and not adopt like all of this anti-democratic, anti-constitutional bullshit? I think this is kind of what the Democratic Party is currently facing right now. Is, do they want to further, because the Democratic Party didn't really have a strong identity of it with like one like particular policy. It was more of a coalition than like a base. At least that's how I interpreted it. And now it's even more of, well, should we spread out even more and become even more of a coalition, or should we consolidate around like certain principles to run on? This is just my analysis of what I find interesting about this conversation. I'm of the opinion, because of what happened in the Republican Party, is that you should remain idealistic and you should not give up on your ideals, because it can ultimately lead to like a worse situation. So if you were to add in, the Marxist Leninists, like sure, they might be temporarily politically convenient, but your party might get co-opted into a way where you might even be worse than MAGA in terms of like destroying America and destroying our Constitution. So that's my warning to y'all.
I mean, we appreciate it for one failing fucking party. Oh my god, what was Republicans turned into? Okay, when I was younger, like religion and doing stuff. Now Trump's
small
the
government,
fucking porn stars. It's like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah,
it's very concerning.
I think unfortunately what that shows is that the ideals that you, as a maybe never Trumper Republican, are capable of holding on to, it's just not possible when it comes to people having that sort of MAGA mindset of what they say isn't, or what they say they believe isn't actually what they really espouse. So,
well, you can still believe in one thing, but it's a matter of even if you believe in something, if you think that like it can't be the ultimate way of gaining power, do you just like give up on those ideals like temporarily?
Well, I'm just saying like the reality is that they don't believe in anything. They say they do, but they don't. So that's really,
I'm gonna cycle you out north.
Yeah, just saying it's
you being here.
Sad truth.
Oh, sorry. God damn, I cut him off.
Oh, no.
I was trying to like cycle out. Right,
well, that's okay.
King Kaiser.
Yeah, go ahead, King.
Dude, are we good on time for it?
No, we'll do another 10 minutes because this was all just open discussion for chat.
Okay. Well, I could perfectly piggyback off what North just said, because sentimentally, I agree when it comes to the tankies and excising them. I say sentimentally because the worry that I have then would be the reaction that we see from people going towards the extreme left. It seems like a very natural thing, the way that a lot of more moderate Republicans maybe switch towards MAGA. And yeah, I guess I would just voice the concern of like, what if in our pursuit to excise tankies in order to uphold ideals, we lose too many people and therewith lose the political capital and the voting power, basically.
Sorry, from that, could you shorten that a little bit? I'm sorry, I might be touched with the ADHD a little bit.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I'm trying. It's late. I'm trying to see if I can put this more concisely. So if you're gonna try to excise a bunch of people because they're not aligning with you ideally, you're going to present a narrative, right? In order to do that, you're going to say, fuck y'all tankies, get the fuck out of here, or whatever.
Yeah.
But that might turn off a lot of people from your side as well. And the worry or the concern that I'd have, because like I said, sentimentally, I agree and I feel extremely vigilant towards these type of people. And I feel like we should be doing this, like just emotionally. But my concern will be that the outward look of that might seem very dogmatic and ideologically possessed, and then therewith turn off a bunch of people from ever joining your cause, you know?
Okay. I'm trying to think. I get what you're saying of like turning people off, because like I think that happened a lot with like Bernie and like the 2016 election and shit, like the self-damaging of party infighting and stuff. Okay. What's your take on Hasan then? Like, because for me, I feel like he's like the definitional thing of like a cancer or something that will just like take resources and not give back.
Right. Yeah. Agree. Absolutely.
Okay. So like, is that someone that's worth it to like exercise them?
Individually, yes, absolutely. But the problem would be if you're going after him, you're going after his entire audience. And okay, for his son, it's pretty easy because we also know that people that follow him are ideologically possessed when it comes to him, or more like personality-wise possessed the way that they are with MAGA and Trump. But he has a pretty large base at this point, and he's not the only one when it comes to this side of politics. And all the people that are flocking towards him, a lot of them consist of people that are not necessarily on the super tanky side of things, but more so are just vibing out, you know, especially the Israel Pally thing, or, you know, just a general anti-capitalist sentiment, which a lot of that is based off of the common perils of capitalism when it comes to, you know, the quality gap or whatever. So the concern will be how much of that reaction is just sentiment towards the current state of the world, and if going hard against the Hasan type, let's say, would turn off people from potentially coming back towards a more moderate progressive position.
Okay,
I think that's a good question.
Right.
Honestly, like what will we say, even just a spitball, like what would we say the percentage of super far left socialist tanky, you know, Hasan followers are there on the left?
I have no idea. I wouldn't even want to spitball that because I have absolutely no gauge on that whatsoever.
I think that's like a really tough thing to sort of ascertain, and I'm curious to know, like, if we feel, even just off vibes, that that's like a great deal of the left, or even if we feel like you were saying, like if Hasan is genuinely what the world or society believes is the face of the Democratic Party or the left, even, you know, that's a real problem if we're dismissive, or if we're like trying to excise them, because that could potentially be a larger segment than we're considering. Paul said that there was a recent poll that showed that it was under 20%. I know 20% is still quite a big number. Tri says it's a lot of young people. Yeah. And they're not really voters, but
yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Whenever it's like socialist, I think there's a big difference between like socialist and like Marxist, Leninist and stuff. So like, I don't know. Yeah. But thanks for giving your opinion, King Kaiser.
Yep.
We're going to switch
it over to
appreciate it. Almost. What's your take?
Yeah, so just kind of, once again, I think this is an interesting topic, this portion of it. I feel like you don't really need to like excise these people, you know, because they're going to exist. You live in a electoral system. You have to play electoral politics. I don't think you need to attack them. I don't think you need to, disregard them either. I think there's something middle ground right now. There's some kind of like messaging apparatus to, I guess, to help meet people where they are without, let's say, letting them take up hold of your party. I think the big issue with Trump is Trump wasn't like trying to talk to these people. It was becoming those people.
Okay. What's your Hasan take then?
Hasan take? Hasan is, I think, super far left, so I feel like he would not be the kind of person you'd want to get involved with. I think it's fine to message to his audience. I would not message directly to him, though.
Like, yeah, I'm saying like the issue I have is like it seems like he's taken resources from the Democratic Party in cases of like playing Among Us with AOC and then getting invited to the DNC and shit, and then will not even like back Kamala.
Yeah,
so, like,
yeah.
give
The
his
fact that
endorsement for it.
Yeah, the fact you can't even, once again, like the most fascist president in U.S. history, and you can't bother to like back
Yeah.
the main candidate.
Mhm.
When do you even expect him to actually make an endorsement if it's not then?
Yeah. So that's what I mean. Like, I get what you're saying of like, we shouldn't really like engage or like exercise them or anything, but like this is what I mean of like I feel like this is a person that's like actively taking resources that we could give to other Democratic like influencers that like could boost them and actually help us for someone that will actually endorse our main candidate.
Right.
Yeah, so I think that's reasonable. I think it's fine to like excise him and be fine from him. But what I'm talking about is more like stupid college young people.
Yeah.
Have stupid opinions. Like
100%.
I've had stupid opinion once before.
Yeah,
I was right wing instead of left wing, but I feel like it's okay to message those people. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for giving your opinion. Be cycling
That's
you
all.
out.
Yeah. Pogi.
Yeah,
what's on
is
your
it
mind?
okay? I do have
Go for
like
it.
a new argument. Is that fine if we move from the Hasan talking it?
Well,
Second
let me
Oh, no,
wrap that
let
up
me-
then.
go for it, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
just gonna
go ahead.
say
No.
in general, I think we when it comes to the question of excise or pander, I don't think it's either. I think it's almost maybe more of like a ignore and don't worry about, because it sounds to me just from our brief anecdotal, in the comment section analysis that Hasan's not really capturing much of the electorate, and also that what he is capturing is probably younger people who aren't really our big voters anyway. So I think it's really important that we just again tighten up our actual messaging, worry about the people who are actually going to vote, and just sort of keep it moving that way. I'm not too worried about it, but also I think just the fact that you guys are here, that this is a political action arm, like we're actually here trying to do stuff and encourage people to vote, and doing the door knocking and doing all the Senate emails and everything else. I think this is where the rubber really meets the road, and I think it's showing itself when you see people like Destiny on Piers Morgan and on larger, news broadcasts and on the Sunday Times and doing all these really, I think, more serious levels of reporting, not just going on trigonometry and shit like Hasan's doing. So, it is interesting, this whole new Gavin Newsom era. We'll see what happens after that. But for the most part, I think it's okay to we can just, I think we could treat Hasan like the kid brother that we just give the remote control that's not plugged up to anything to, and just keep it moving.
Okay. Augie, what's your take?
Yeah, so I do. I've been thinking about this like thoroughly, and it has to do with like survivorship bias, right? I don't think I think there are better arguments to use in regards to survivorship bias when you're arguing with a right wing person, especially the one that say like pull your stuff up by the bootstraps. What survivorship bias does, if you use that like type of argument, is that they'll always refute back with agency, and you'll just get stuck on an agency loop where you have to like concede a lot of ground, and it's honestly a waste of time. If you want to argue with religious people about it, you just have to nail them to the New Testament, right? And just quote Bible verses and say like, hey, this is what Jesus said is just to help out the poor. And you really have to stick with them on the New Testament. And when it comes to talking about like, if you're just talking about like morally, it's like the good thing to do. And all of this agency trap will cease to stop. I do think fundamentally it's a stronger argument to use against Christians who make up most of America. And we need to lean away from the stats argument trap that I think Ben Shapiro likes to propagate, because it's not going to lead us anywhere. And anyways, we could divide the Ben Shapiro types by pitting the Christians against him, because it's very clear in the New Testament that you should have a moral incentive to help out people that are poor. And there's no argument against that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
I'll be cycling you out. All right. That's it for debate night. Any last thoughts, Sophie? What was the last topic? It was
I think it turned into Hasan Hasan.
Okay, it's fine. It's just a good, it's a good litmus test. Okay. Is political infighting making the party stronger or diluting resources to focus? That was the topic.
Yeah. No, I really think this was a really, dare I say, productive debate. I think it's very grounding, again, in the fact that we are here to, look at what we actually can do. I think especially with this war breaking out, there's a whole lot of doom scrolling and doomer feelings and thoughts and stuff. And so ultimately, thank you guys for being here, because I think it's a good way to actually make a substantive and real IRL difference. And that matters. And so, for all of us kind of maybe having opposite views on how we do something, I like that ultimately we're all here just trying to do something. And not in the way that Trump is at least doing something. So
Bro,
it's all
you should have spans. Okay, he's doing something. He's doing something about Iran. Okay,
something.
He's doing something.
What about you, Richard?
100%. I agree 100%. Like, I appreciate everyone being here and all your little comments and stuff. It makes it like, okay. I canvassed for like 6 months. I don't think you understand how like disheartening it is to like have weekly meetups to go canvassing with like random people and no one fucking shows up. So having you guys here, like in the chat, fucking debating all that shit, I love it. If you guys are interested in debating, fucking DM me. I'll get you up here. But yeah, call out to food shops. I was also in fucking Hutch's waiting room and stuff. I saw you there. But yeah, love you all. I'll be sending a link to general chat so we can continue from there.